Good evening, everybody. We will convene the April 17th meeting of MCE's Board of Directors. The time is 6:32. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Yes. Belvedere. Benicia. Concord.
Here.
Contra Costa County. Corte Madera.
Here.
Thank you. Danville.
Present.
El Cerrito.
Present.
Fairfax. Here. Fairfield. Hercules. Lafayette. Larkspur. County of Marin. Here. Martinez. Mill Valley.
Here.
Moraga.
Here.
Napa. The County of Napa and 4 Napa cities.
Here.
Thank you. Novato.
Here.
Oakley.
Here.
Pinole.
Here.
Pittsburgh.
Present.
Pittsburgh.
Present.
Thank you.
What's going on?
Pleasant Hill.
Here.
Richmond.
Here.
Ross.
Here.
San Anselmo. San Pablo. San Rafael.
Present.
Thank you. San Ramon.
Here.
Sausalito. Solano.
Yes.
Thank you. Tiburon.
Here.
Vallejo. Walnut Creek.
Here.
And did I miss anyone? I believe Larkspur. Thank
Thank you.
you. Quorum established.
Thank you. I'm Gabe Quinto, Vice Chair, in for our Chair, Chanel Scales Preston. The next item is board announcements. Are there any board announcements? First, we'll start here in the Marin office. Okay, next we'll go to Contra Costa.
There are none in Contra Costa.
Okay. Thank you. And is there someone from the Solano area that would like to speak?
I love talking, but not tonight. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Next is public open time. The next item. This is an opportunity for members of the public to comment on anything that is not on the agenda. Do we have any members of the public in? First, we'll go to Concord, who would like to speak at this time.
There are no public members in Concord.
Okay, thank you. Here in Marin?
I see no members here. The public.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Are there any comments from members of the public joining us on Zoom or other locations?
I see a raised hand online. Vice Chair.
Okay. Please unmute and continue.
Hi, my name is Rebecca Collins, and I co-founded Sustainable Fairfax in order to have a constituency to initiate a community choice aggregator, which ultimately became Marin Clean Energy. I want to speak today. I also represent Women's Energy Matters. I want to speak today because I am very concerned about SB 540, the Pathways Initiative. We are being told that it will cut costs, it will cut emissions. And tonight I a webinar that was led
It looks
by,
like, excuse me, Solano, can you please mute? There's an echo coming from the Solano location.
I heard that before.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
My
So,
apologies. Go ahead.
I went to a webinar that was led by the Center for Biological Diversity, one of their senior lawyers, and also by the founder of Consumer Watchdog. You know, there are multiple environmental and other NGOs that have come out against this, and I am still very surprised that Cal CCA is supporting this. Um, the the biggest drivers of this actually are Microsoft, Google, and Amazon. And the IBW, the union that is supporting this, that's PG&E's union. They are going to benefit from the build out of these giant data centers. Also, the Brattle report did not do an analysis on what actually increases rates, which is transmission build out, which is transmissions maintenance, and wildfire mitigation, which would be, encompass even a larger area. We do not have the kind of safeguards that we would have, that we have presently. Those would disappear because right now we have a minimal interference from FERC. If we join a Western RO, then we have maximum interference with FERC, including the Trump administration potentially forcing us to buy coal. And in fact, we could be sued by any trader, any, buyer or seller that is part of this RO. It is very important to recognize what we are losing and how important this governance is as a California corporation. The greenhouse gas emissions actually increase overall. And I am part of WIM, and some of my time was taken away. I would like to be able to talk a little bit more on this, given that I'm probably one of the only members of the public here tonight.
I'm going to give you 15 more seconds. Go ahead.
Okay, well, there just last night, 3 trade unions, large trade unions, joined the opposition against this. And given the author of this is from Silicon Valley, he has huge conflicts of interest, which I, implore all of you to look into. He has conflict of interest with these tech companies.
Okay, thank you very much. Time's up. Okay, next we will go.
Vice Chair, we have another member of the public
sure.
that would like to speak.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Isabel, would you like to speak?
Hi, yes, sorry, I wasn't able to speak for a second because I didn't have the unmute capacity on the Zoom meeting here. Okay, so I have some questions and I am hoping that I can get some advice on the best path to proceed. And before I go into my questions, I just want to preface this by asking for a little bit of grace because I am still a student and there's a lot about the electricity industry and MCE community choice aggregates that I don't fully understand. But as a part of my senior thesis research, I was exploring how to make my hometown, Bolinas, a little bit more resilient to a lot of the power shutoffs that we have, and also address the fact that our only gas station closed in 2023. So there's definitely some vulnerabilities out there that I think need to be looked at. And the Marin Civic jury noted recently that there needs to be more microgrids in West Marin, in areas such as Bolinas. So I kind of came up with this idea that our public utility district, BPUD, could put out a bond to fund a microgrid there and use the feed-in tariffs to pay off that microgrid over time. So in the event that there is a really long shutdown in some of our more important infrastructure like the hospital or the fire department or electric vehicle chargers wouldn't shut off in the case of an emergency. And I was speaking to some experts about this, and they suggested that the WDAT, which is the standard feed-in tariff when buying power off the CAISO grid, is very low, and they suggested looking into an arrangement with MCE to buy power instead and sort of discussing a power purchasing agreement. So I wanted to ask you guys what resources and what direction you might advise looking into when discussing a power purchasing agreement with MCE for a potential renewable energy generating industry or source that we might develop in Bolinas to help pay off the cost of installing it in the first place. And if there are any sort of subsidies or grants that I could perhaps discuss with you guys about paying for it in that way as well. So yeah, I hope that that's clear and this is the appropriate space to discuss it. So thank you guys.
Thank you very much. Jessica, do we have any other speakers?
I see no additional hands.
Okay, thank you. Next is a report from Chief Executive Officer, which is being presented by Chief Operating Officer Viken Kosagian. Please go ahead, Viken.
Thank you. Well, good evening, board. When I start with Hercules service starts, service to Hercules customers began on April 1st, representing about 10,000 new customers accounts for MCE. This enrollment period has been comparable to previous community enrollments with a 93% participation rate with eligible customers through the end of April. Staff continues to engage with the community to explain the transition to MCE service, both through public workshops hosted in partnership with the city, as well as our call center fielding questions from customers. Regarding power procurement request for information, we issued recently a 2025 request for information for long-term power offers on Monday. This solicitation seeks information from qualified suppliers of renewable energy. Oh, thank you for advancing the slide. Energy storage and resource adequacy to inform MCE's power procurement decisions. This is going to be quite helpful for our procurement group to get information about the market. These are for projects no less than 5 megawatts for 24/7 load profiles. That means around the clock generation, or no less than 25 megawatts for intermittent projects. Developers with projects at all stages of development are encouraged to respond by submission deadline of May 8th. I had, based on previous discussions with some of you, we have a program eligibility for ADUs in our footprint area. And we have received questions about which MCE programs are available for homes with accessory dwelling units, the ADUs. To help address this question, we made a resource available to the board that briefly describes program eligibility for ADUs. There's a one-pager copy for your reference at your desk for reference, and we'll also include a digital copy in recap communications for you. And please feel free to share this with your city or county staff and direct any questions you have to MCE. On the Form 700s, they were due on April 1, so some are running late. Please submit them to Troy Nordquist as soon as possible, and you have the email on file there. And finally, we have a couple of tentative dates to note for members of the board for planning purposes. Our annual board retreat is proposed to be held on Thursday, October 16th. That will be almost a whole day event. And our holiday party is proposed to be held on Thursday, December 11. Please reach out to Jessica if you have any questions. And that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you, Viken.
On behalf of Don, sorry. Yeah.
Thank you very much. We'll bring this back to the board. Any questions from members of the board on this report? Any in the Concord office?
I see no raised hands.
Okay. Are there any comments from the public?
I see Dion Bailey online.
Director Bailey?
Yes, thank you. I'm attending tonight as as a member of the public, but I wanted to thank Vicken and Sebastian and all the team that came out to Hercules to help us get through those workshops and to help us get this great 93% participation rate in our city. I'm looking forward to us having cleaner energy that is to serve our community. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Next is the consent calendar. There was an edit to item C5, and that is to have Director Zutkutz join the technical committee. If anyone wants to take any of these items off to consent, discuss, please indicate. Otherwise, the motion on the full consent item shall include the amended C5 item. So we have C1, approval of the March 20th, 2025 meeting minutes. C2 is approved contracts for energy update. C3, Board of Directors voting shares update. C4, proposed committee governance recommendations from the executive committee. And C5, addition of board members to committees. Would any of the board members like to remove any items from consent?
No, I would be happy to make a motion, Chair.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Max Pare in Mill Valley and a second from County Supervisor Liz Alessio from Napa. Madam Clerk.
Belvedere,
Yes.
Concord,
Yes.
Corte Madera,
Yes.
Danville,
Yes.
El Cerrito,
Yes.
Fairfax,
Yes.
Larkspur, County of Marin,
Yes.
Mill Valley,
Yes.
Moraga,
Yes.
the County of Napa and 4 Napa cities,
Yes.
Novato,
Yes.
Oakley,
Yes.
Pinole,
Yes.
Pittsburgh,
Yes.
Pleasant Hill,
Yes.
Richmond,
Yes.
Ross, San Rafael,
Yes.
San Ramon,
Yes.
Solano,
Yes.
Tiburon, Walnut Creek.
Yes.
Were there any members that were not called?
Sorry, Larkspur.
Thank you.
Yes.
Martinez is present and votes yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Thank you very much. Next item is the 2024 Charles F. McGlashan Advocacy Award presentation. We have Jared Blanton, who is the Vice President of Public Affairs, who will be introducing this item. Please go ahead, Jared.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Tonight, I'm pleased to announce the recipients of the 2024 Charles F. McGlashan Advocacy Award, excuse me. This award is an annual honor recognizing outstanding community leaders throughout MCE's service area. At its March meeting, the MCE Executive Committee voted to award 3 community leaders with this honor. RCF Connects, Andrew Bradley, who's a staffer with the City of St. Helena, and the Greater Concord Chamber of Commerce. And I'd like to acknowledge that Kevin Cabral, who's the President and CEO of the Concord Chamber, is with us here tonight. So thank you for joining us, Kevin. Next slide, please. This award was established in 2011 to honor both outstanding community leaders and the legacy of Charles F. McGlashan, the former MCE founding chairman and Marin County supervisor. Charles played a pivotal role in launching MCE and was a trailblazer in the CCA movement in California. While working at the County of Marin, our CEO, Don Weiss, collaborated closely with Charles to explore state legislation that would make CCAs viable in Marin. At a time when community choice energy was still a new and uncertain idea, Charles championed it with vision and persistence. His leadership helped lay the foundation for what would become one of the most significant local clean energy efforts in California. Over 15 years later, there are now more than 20 active CCAs across the state, serving more than 14 million customers. Charles passed away in 2011, but not before he left an indelible mark on California's clean energy transition. The McLaughlin Award celebrates community leaders who embody his spirit, dedication, and vision. Next slide, please. To give a little bit of background on our recipients, the Concord Chamber of Commerce has been instrumental in supporting one of MCE's newest customer programs, Small Business Energy Advantage. This program offers local small businesses free energy audits and no-cost energy efficiency upgrades such as upgraded lighting, smart thermostats, and air purifying units. These improvements help make businesses more comfortable, sustainable, and they reduce energy bills. Last fall, in fall of 2024, the Chamber partnered with MCE staff for a door-to-door outreach campaign to connect with local businesses directly. In total, more than 150 businesses were contacted and 47 businesses enrolled in the program as a direct result of the Chamber's outreach efforts. RCF Connects is one of the key community partners helping bring MCE's Richmond virtual power plant to life. In collaboration with MCE, RCF Connect is developing creative solutions that support both housing and clean energy goals in Richmond, while also providing an affordable pathway to home ownership. As part of the project, RCF Connects is rebuilding Richmond homes using an innovative funding tool called a social impact bond. Together, we have the opportunity to upgrade up to 100 homes and 20 businesses, including 10 previously abandoned properties. These upgraded buildings will be able to plug into MCE's cutting-edge virtual power plant. RCF Connects has invested over $19 million towards affordable homeownership, rental assistance, and emergency housing support through Contra Costa County. And finally, Andrew Bradley, a staff member with the City of St. Helena Community Services Department. This is one of our smaller member communities by population, so partnering with local staff to spread the word about MCE and available resources and programs is especially valuable. In his role, Andrew engaged with city leadership to promote co-branded messaging about MCE to the small business community. Together with Andrew, we launched a communications campaign to reach local businesses, providing tips on lowering energy bills and information on how to access MCE rebates and incentives. Andrew also championed and helped create a dedicated MCE landing page on the city's website, which I've been told is no small feat for a municipal website. Collaborations like this with local government staff help amplify our messaging and increase community impact. Next slide, please. So at this time, we are happy to recognize these community leaders, and I believe that Kevin would like to maybe say a few words about his partnership with MCE as well.
Of course. Thank you very much. I'm honored from the chamber to accept this award. I think it's wonderful. It's a testament to kind of what the chamber does in the community, and it's in concert with what MCE is doing in the community. It was really easy for this to happen. Folks came and asked us if we could go into this region of Concord that's a little more underserved than some of the other regions and knock on doors and speak with business leaders to see if they could save some money to help their business. So it's kind of a no-brainer for us. And there's a gentleman with the chamber. He's our membership person, William Chan. He's very much a boots on the ground person. He went with the MCE folks. We both got trained up. But he took it another step and really got to know the program. As a matter of fact, our participation has ended, but we've extended for 3 more months on our request because it gives us an opportunity to really help these businesses that need it most. So MCE's wonderful to the chamber, a great partner. They're part of our Chairman's Circle, which is a higher tier member, and they support a lot of our programs right here in Concord. So it's great. It's an honor. I think the program's awesome. Knowing it's the first year, I'm hoping that it happens again in the future. And we would love to be part of it and help spread the message and, get businesses to save money. So thank you very much. I really appreciate being here and great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Andrew and Jim Becker from RCF Connects were not able to be here this evening, but we may have an opportunity at a future meeting to do a photo op. But I think we are going to do a quick photo op here. But before we do that, can we just have a quick round of applause for? Thank you. And now I think we're going to awkwardly take a couple of photos while everyone here.
Oh, let's do it.
Yeah.
We've wrapped the photo here in Concord.
Okay, wonderful. Are there any questions from members of the board for staff? We'll start here in Marin. Any questions? Okay, we'll go next to,
I have a comment.
a comment. Go ahead.
Comment,
Max.
okay. Yeah, I just wanted to provide a comment, thanking the awardees for all of their work. Supervisor McLaughlin was one of my supervisors in Southern Marin County. And I remember meeting him at an event early on in my environmental activism, and we were talking about some other issues, and he brought up the novel idea of creating the first CCA, which became MCE. So a testament to his work is all the great work that these awardees have done. So congratulations.
Thank you, Director Perret. Any other comments, questions here? Okay, well, next we'll go to the Concord office. Any comments, questions?
I see no raised hands in Concord.
Okay, any public comment?
I see none online.
Okay, again, I want to congratulate the Greater Concord Chamber, RCF, and Andrew Broadley from the city of St. Helena. Congratulations. Next, we'll go to this next item, which is a proposed resolution 2025-02, authorizing the execution and delivery of a clean energy purchase contract and certain other documents in connection with the issuance of California Community Choice Financing Authority Clean Energy Project revenue bonds and certain other actions required to ensure the reduction of the cost of renewable energy therewith. This is a discussion and an action item. And Ficken?
Vice Chair Quinto.
Yes.
I have a potential conflict of interest, so I will recuse myself.
Okay. Thank you very much, Director Thayer. Pardon me? Do we need to discuss why she is? Okay. Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, and this is an item introduced by Vicken Kasajian, our COO. There will be a designated opportunity for the board to ask questions, and we ask you to hold any questions until prompted by staff, and keep any questions succinct to leave room for your colleagues to weigh in. Vicken, please take it from here.
Thank you, Vice Chair. I just want to begin by saying that I'm really thankful to Maida Strauss that she will be leading the presentation. She's the VP of Finance. And I want to recognize Vidhi Chawla that she's sitting to my right, VP of Power Resources. Really some heavy lifting to bring this important matter to the board in this really tough economic times, and we need the results to move forward with it. So with that, Maida, please take it away.
Thank you, Vicken. Good evening, everyone. My name is Maida Strauss. I'm the VP of Finance, and I'm going to present today the proposed renewable energy prepayment transaction, which would be our third transaction. So on the screen here, we have some data on how the electricity prepayment transactions have been reducing the cost of renewables in the CCA space. So a little bit of background on that. In preparation for our first prepayment transaction in 2021, your board authorized MCE to become a founding member of the CCCFA, which is a conduit entity that's authorized to enter into the necessary contracts and agreements for the prepayment transaction. Since then, CCCFA have done 19 prepays with a par amount in excess of 18 billion of renewable energy prepayment bonds, saving CCA ratepayers more than 115 million annually, or over 3 billion during the lifetime of the prepaid 100 renewable energy contracts. Moving on to what's an electricity prepaid transaction in a nutshell. Us as a nonprofit, a public agency, we are able to utilize our tax-exempt status to reduce the power of our procurement costs. We can then pass along these savings to our customers. A clean energy bond is a form of wholesaler electricity prepayment that requires three parties. One, the tax-exempt public electricity retailer, us, MCE. Two, a taxable energy supplier, in our case, JR & Company, and a municipal bond issuer, in our case, CCCFA. Those three parties, they enter into a long-term power supply agreement for zero-emission clean electricity sources, such as solar, wind, geothermal, hydropower, and battery storage. And then CCCFA issue tax-exempt bonds to fund the prepayment of energy that will be delivered over 30 years. Then the energy supplier, in our case, JR, utilize the bond proceeds and provides a discount to MCE in exchange of the prepayment. Historically, this discount has been between 8 and 12%. Currently, MCE has assigned about 7 PPAs to our two prepaid transactions, and they are a combination of solar plus long-term storage, wind, and geothermal projects. Moving on to some specifics about our 2025 deal. So clean energy contracts from our portfolio are assigned to taxable prepaid supplier. 4 contracts are currently being targeted for this prepayment. Very important to note that MCE would maintain the existing terms of the contract, including scheduling and operations, and we would preserve PCC1 and long-term attributes for renewable contracts. Also, it's good to note that the debt associated with with this transaction is issued through CCFA, and it's non-recourse to MCE. The debt is secured by the contract agreements in the transaction, and it is recourse to the financial institution that receives the prepayment. If also, I would like to note that if the transaction for some reason terminates early, or if the prepaid supplier fails to perform, MCE forgoes the future savings and then assign the contracts, all the contracts go back to status quo. Next slide, please. So here we have the budget slide, which is the last budget approved about a month ago, and it's for the current fiscal year that we are. And I just wanted to put in perspective our savings. So the energy revenue, 826, cost of energy, 765, is a net of the 10 million of savings from the 2 prepayment transactions. So that's already discounted in there. And then if you move down third up from our changing net position, 25 million. And then the last one, the budgeted net increase in our operating fund for this budget was about 7 million. And that's including our 10 million of savings from the prepaid transaction. Moving on to the proposed resolution. Just want to highlight a few points, what's in our proposed resolution, which is it directs staff to complete negotiation on the proposed prepayment transaction and to finalize and execute the necessary documents. And on the screen, those are the parameters of the resolution, that the bonds will not be obligation of MCE, the par amount would not exceed 1.3 billion, that the discount on prepaid energy will be at least 8%, and the total cost of issuance would not exceed 1% of the bond proceeds. Moving on to the last slide, our recommendation is that your board today approve the proposed resolution. Thank you.
Maida, thank you for the presentation. We will go to our board here. Any questions? We'll start here in Marin. Yes.
So Maida, are the long-term contract for energy, is that in any way tied up by this bond?
No, we assign them. So what do you mean by tied?
So if, for example, we wanted to sell this contract later to another energy utility, maybe wanted to buy this contract or this energy, would we be prohibited from selling it?
We can remove a contract and put another one in place. So this is something we can do. So we could remove one and put another one if that's where we wanted to do. Would you like to add anything, Tyler?
As soon as I figure out how to run the machine here. Yeah, that's correct. The structure has flexibility to move the assigned PPAs in and out of the structure by just removing the limited assignment agreement from one. And then most likely we would then enter into a new limited assignment agreement with an alternative PPA seller.
Okay, but essentially for the bond, there has to be some collateral. and that collateral is one of these contracts.
Yeah, so if we remove one, we got to put another one in place.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Director Slater. We'll go to Director Wilkinson next.
I'll just follow up on that question. So if just as an example, MCE lost 50% of their customers back to PG&E and had to therefore unload a whole bunch of contracts that exceeded the amount of free contracts that they had that weren't tied up in these arrangements, what would happen?
Yeah, under that scenario, the bonds are actually functioning at the triple CFA. So if MCE were to go away in part or in whole, there's a remarketing concept where the bonds would be remarketed by J. Aaron, and the revenues still would be coming through the triple CFA to the trustee.
And what would happen though if that was at a different price point?
There's a dormant commodity swap that would protect at the triple CFA level the cash flows.
So that wouldn't have any potential financial impact on MCE in terms of remarking that?
No.
Okay. The second question I have is this whole concept, or this is a tax trade. It's a tax transaction, and normally under federal legislation, tax transactions have to comply with the economic substance doctrine. So they have to be creating some kind of economic value. And these are not, in this circumstances, they're a pure tax trade. And I understand there's a carve out which allows specifically for oil and gas, which we're leaning onto to allow us to enter into these types of transactions. So the question I have is that we obviously have a new president who isn't very supportive of clean energy in general. If these contracts were to be these deals would be reclassified as not meeting that requirement anymore because they are clean energy rather than oil and gas, what would happen in those circumstances? Who would bear that cost of them being no longer tax exempt?
Once I've learned how to use the technology. First of all, under the Treasury regulations, those authorize electricity as well as natural gas.
Right.
And it does not include oil. So this is natural gas and electricity for the use in municipal utilities. So that's the current regulation. If they took the regulation away, most likely that would just take away the ability to do future tax exempt transactions. The rest would be speculation, but it would be most likely that say, you know, we're taking away the regulation to do these transactions. And so going forward, you wouldn't be able to do them.
So there isn't, because these other transactions are for energy types that can be stored, they potentially already exist. In these clean energy contracts, they don't already exist. You're prepaying for something which hasn't yet been created, correct? And so they're a little bit different from these other transactions. It's true for wind, it's true for, so these are a new type of transaction.
Yeah, the transaction is looking at the end result though, and that's the electricity that's being delivered into the municipal utility.
Okay, so, but just in a hypothetical that these do get reclassified because a new president likes to go after clean energy, if they were to be reclassified as tax exempt, is it just the bondholder that takes the loss, or are there any punishments for the advisors or for us as being involved in these transactions for misusing?
The bondholders take that risk.
There's no punishments at all for the people that have introduced those transactions?
No.
Advisors, anybody else?
No.
Okay, fine. And then my last question was more out of curiosity. So in the past, Goldman Sachs has always wanted to take these bonds, and in this new transaction, taking the financing from these bonds. And in this transaction, you're potentially talking about having a different counterparty, that Goldman's just going to be the underwriter. And so my question there is that being driven by our advisors, or is that being driven by Goldman because they don't want to do these types of transactions anymore?
That's actually being driven by the market.
Okay.
So Goldman Sachs has a significant amount of prepaid paper out in the market. There's three major providers, Morgan Stanley, Royal Bank of Canada, and Goldman.
Right.
And so reaching out to alternative funding providers or funding recipients, as we call them, is giving us diversity in the market and giving investors diversity in the market to have alternative names rather than so much paper just associated directly to Goldman.
But potentially with a lower credit rating, they just have to be investment grade, correct?
Yeah, it could be lower. It also could be higher. We did one last year at a AAA. So
Where's Goldman's rating right now?
Goldman is rated A2.
Okay.
But the bonds would carry the rating of the funding recipient.
Right.
And then we'll look through a number of funding recipients and work together with the staff at MCE to determine the optimal choice for the funding recipient in this transaction.
And that decision is on the basis of how much they're willing to pay vis-a-vis their credit rating, or what is that?
Yes, it's the economics generated in the transaction. So it's the differential between what the funding recipient is willing to pay,
right,
and what yield the tax-exempt bond investors are willing to take to buy the paper.
But typically, we as MCE are going to make more money out of these transactions the worse the credit.
Not necessarily.
That's an unusual
It
market.
just depends on the difference between the funding recipient's rate and the bondholder rate. So in different markets, the bondholders may require more or less yield. So it's really the differential in the rate. So I guess let me answer. With exceptions, you are correct that the lower credit, you're taking more risk, you'd want more reward.
Right.
But I just put it out there that there are circumstances because it's the differential between those two rates.
Okay. And I've asked this question before and I've always voted no on these transactions, but I just want the answer again. There's no such thing as a free lunch in finance. Where are the risks?
And I've had that question a lot. It's a good question. It's okay. This sounds too good to be true.
It is too good to be true.
Yeah, where it comes from is that when the regulations were developed, they were developed specifically in mind to provide savings to the ratepayers of municipal utilities. And so that's where the benefit comes from, is that it is by design, these transactions exist to provide savings to the ultimate end user.
So where are the risks? I'll ask the question again because I think nothing's ever risk-free.
The risks are to the bondholders. The bondholders take the risk of, say, the prepaid supplier default. The participants and ratepayers, they get the savings. If something goes wrong, they lose the benefit of the savings by the transaction. For example, MCE and your customers go back to status quo, as Mayor said.
In the instance that whoever is that takes this money defaults, as you say, it's their credit that's on these bonds and the bondholders would be the ones that would get hurt. But there would be an association with the fact that MCE was involved in lending their tax-exempt status to this bond. So from a reputational perspective, if we were then to seek to be issuing debt into the market for other reasons, would that affect our ability to issue debt?
It will not affect your ability to issue debt.
You seem to have a lot of certainty on that.
I've done 89 of these transactions, and we've seen instances where there were early terminations, and in one case, a default with a transaction in Georgia. That issuer has gone on to successfully issue several additional transactions with no pushback from the investment community.
And what was the reason for that default?
Lehman Brothers and the financial crisis.
Okay. Okay, that's all my questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, we'll go to Director Alicia.
Well, thank you, Sally. I just learned a lot. And thank you very much, Tyler. And is it Myra?
Maida.
Maida, yeah.
Thanks for
Thank you.
asking.
Yeah, thank you. I just had a very simple question. That is, what are the downfalls and any potential risk? I think I just really received the answer. It sounds like there are no downfalls and not a potential, looks like there's no risk to the agency, correct, to MCE at this point? Looks like we're well covered.
That's correct.
Okay, and our ratepayers too, just as, again, just reiterating what I just heard. Sounds like we're in a safe position.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions here from Marin? Yes, Director Andre.
Hi, Mr. Noble. So 2 questions. One, can you explain what would happen? I understand right now that the market, we would get an 8 to 12% discount potentially. What happens when the market moves in the future? And then this contract is no longer beneficial. And then the market, the costs in the market have actually fallen below the 8 to 12% discount. Are we able to prepay or refinance this bond? Or it would have to be the triple CFA, or CC. I'm sorry, I can't remember the acronym, but anyway, it would have to be the JPA.
Triple CFA.
Yeah, triple CFA entity. But so realistically, we're going to lock in 8 to 12% discounts today, but it's a 30-year contract. And so if in the future market energy costs decrease, would we be out of the money on this?
Yeah, so we'll have in this and you're right, it is a 30-year transaction. The initial periods that we will lock it in for an initial period of somewhere between, say, 6 and 10 years. So the 8 to 12% savings is locked in for that initial period of the, say, 6 to 10 years. In the 10th year, you are correct that market conditions would change the discount available. That's one of the benefits of the structure where we have the ability to go to multiple funding recipients to try and find the best discount. There's also a concept there that there's a minimum discount built in here where that if the savings is below a certain minimum level, MCE can opt out.
We can opt out?
Yeah, if we don't hit a certain minimum at reset, you have the ability to opt out.
Okay, but in year 10, there's a reset opportunity.
Yeah.
Okay.
At the end of the initial period, yes.
Okay, and then year 20 or just year 10? How are these structured?
We'll look for we may term it out, or if we'll call it an additional reset period. We could do another 6 to 10 years, and then roll it again in year 20, for example.
Okay, great.
Tyler, and if I can add here, we have on the resolution that we have to meet a minimum of savings, so we have to meet that on the next reset period.
Okay, so that's written into the resolution. Okay.
Yeah, we have a minimum to hit for this,
Yeah.
the initial period, of course,
Right.
and then also the reset period.
Okay, great. And then could you please explain what would happen if the energy supplier does not perform?
So you're saying that the
Jay Aaron, I don't know who that is, but what happens if there's a landslide, they can't provide solar or whatever, power, there's an earthquake, and they can't fulfill their end of the contract. What would
they are
happen?
they're in a position where they are receiving the energy, the electricity from the PPAs that MCE is assigned. So they're receiving that energy and delivering it to MCE through the structure at the triple CFA. So if there was a problem with the PPAs, we would remove that limited assignment agreement with that problematic PPA and then find alternative PPAs that are functioning.
So you as a municipal advisor would be doing that, or what?
Jay Aaron would be doing that.
Oh, Jay Aaron would have to find their own. They would have to find a replacement. And that's written to the contract or written into the structure of the prepayment bonds.
Right. So so I think the question, if I understand where you're coming from, is if there's just a catastrophe at the assigned PPAs in this transaction, the structure is built to replace those PPAs with new and with alternative functioning PPAs.
Right. Okay. And then I asked this question before, but what happens if they're just curtailed it's not a catastrophe, but they're just curtailed and they can't provide the energy.
In that case, then J. Aaron is the energy supplier, would make payments to the triple CFA that would keep the debt service whole.
Okay. Good answer. Thank you.
You bet.
Okay, good.
Good questions.
Yeah. Any more questions here from the Marin office? Next, we'll go to the Concord office and Solano office.
We have Director
Any
Darling,
questions?
followed by Director Bellox.
Hi, this is Director Darling. Just a quick question. Since this is our third, are we seeing any, I know we're capping the investment and specs, the cost of issuance at 1%. Are we seeing this get easier and cheaper as we do these?
Yeah, let me take a shot at that. Good, Director Darling. So MCE started this whole process, and we actually caused the creation of triple CFA for other CCAs to join. So now, like Maida mentioned, we're almost reaching $20 billion in issuances. So MCE has really great partners in the financial world with our credit rating and business relationships, and we are seeing a reduction of some of the fees. And for about $1.3 billion issuance to have a total one-time fee of less than 1%. We're still working on it. We're not done. We are getting some lower numbers, yes.
But it's always nice to make it cheaper and easier as you go.
Yes.
So couple quick questions. So you said we've done 3 of these in the past?
We've done 2. This will be the third.
This would be the third?
Yes.
How many years ago did we do the other 2? Was it in 20 and 21, I think? 21?
21 and 23.
Okay. So is this paper structured pretty much the same as the other 2?
Yes.
Have we had any issues with the other 2 that we've done already?
None.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah. The only thing, if I may, Vice Chair, the only thing I want to say is that, like I mentioned, Maida's staff and Vidi's staff started working on this about right at the beginning of the year, where we knew that the change at that time, the change in administration is going to significantly compress the financial opportunities that we had enjoyed previously. So hopefully with the board approval, we will be ready to pull the trigger at the opportune time because, as you know, the financial world is not that great. But just recently, a couple other CCAs have done very good prepay offers, in the low teen levels in returns, which is really good. We hope to get something like that. But again, with the approval, we'll be ready to find the best opportunity in issuing these.
Do we have any other questions from the Concord office?
I see no other raised hands.
Okay, thank you. Any public comment?
I see no raised hands, Chair.
Okay. Any further discussion on this item from our board members? We'll start at here in Marin. Director Wilkinson.
Yeah, I mean, I just like to make a comment. So these transactions are not central to our business whatsoever. And I understand from our financial advisor that we're being told that they're risk-free, and if they ever go wrong, I'm sure you know that you're now on record saying that they're 100% risk-free. And I would just make the point that there is not a single board member here who understands these transactions. And so you're asking us to approve something that we have no understanding of. And I come from the financial industry, and these are incredibly complex financial transactions. Before the 2007-8 financial crisis, I remember those days when mortgage-backed securities and credit default swaps were risk-free. And then they weren't, and then they brought down institutions. So I have no intention of voting yes on this, and I think it is not advisable for a public agency to be engaged in these activities.
Any other comment? Yes, Director Salt.
I share Director Wilkinson's concerns. I don't understand why we need to issue these bonds. It seems like we're big enough and we have our own credit rating to want to issue our own debt as an agency if we wanted to. I understand there's financial engineering involved, but it just seems like sort of unnecessary. And I just feel like the agency should spend more time, doing the wonderful mission of providing the energy to our customers and having clean energy. And I don't see the logic of doing these financial engineering just for the $10 million of savings. It just doesn't seem for a public agency. I mean, it seems like something you'd see in a movie, like that somebody did these transactions and it was like Goldman Sachs in the middle of it. And it just doesn't seem like really what Marin Clean Energy should want to be associated with, nor just telling the public like, hey, we're doing these financial engineering games just because we get some savings out of it. So I understand. And I mean, I think for a typical business, maybe, but it just seems like sort of far afield from what this agency is supposed to be about. Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments here from the Marin office? Next, yes, Director Andre.
I certainly share your concerns about risk. It's definitely something we should be careful, and this is not, a lot of what we do is providing clean energy, but it's through financial contracts. We don't own any of the actual energy source. So this is a financial transaction for sure, and it's a sizable financial transaction, but I think the risks, there are risks here that are mitigated. And I do think that we would be able to see some savings. And so I think you're right. It's really, what are the risks versus the 10 million in savings, and how do we all feel about that trade-off? And I think from, what's been explained by Mr. Noble, I think, the fact that it's being issued by the CCCFA, that really shields MCE, I think, from it's non-recourse to us. And if the bondholders are willing to do that, I mean, that's a good thing, that they're willing to accept that. I mean, as a bondholder, I don't know that I would necessarily think that's a great thing, but that's a good thing for MCE, that these are non-recourse. And also the fact that they reset, so that if the market moves, we have the opportunity to reset the discount, so that we can, because 30 years is a long time in terms of a contract. And if the market moves downward significantly, I think there's risk that, all of a sudden this contract is not good for MCE. But if we're able to reset, I think in 10 years and then perhaps 6 or 10 years after that, I think that mitigates some of the financial risk. The other thing is just counterparty risk, right? I mean, to the questions earlier, it's, the financial institution who is going to be holding the funds. You called it the funding recipient. I mean, yeah, that I think is going to be very important. Like who's the counterparty there? That carries some element of risk there in terms of, who we choose. We need to choose someone with good credit, not necessarily trying to, squeeze the best, the lowest yield out of that. I mean, it's just, we need to pick someone because there is some counterparty risk there. But we should absolutely also be trying to drive down and get the best deal that we can with respect to the energy savings that we can pass through to our ratepayers. Anyway, so that's kind of how I look at this. So anyways, we might agree to disagree. And it's hard because I think the other thing that would be helpful next time too is to see how the existing 2 contracts, I didn't ask this last time, but it would be helpful to see how the existing 2 prepayment contracts are performing with respect to the actual rates, with the discounts, and whether we're still getting discounts from those 2 contracts. That would be helpful to see. if we're tracking that over time to see how the market is moving vis-a-vis, the rates that we've locked in under these prepayment contracts.
Okay, next we will go to the Concord office.
We have Director Nakamura followed by Director Veros.
Thank you. I was going to make a motion, but I could wait if you'd like me to, Director.
Oh, you can make a motion. I would like to make a comment, but yeah, you can make a motion. After that, I can make a
Well,
comment.
let's go ahead and hear your comment first, then I'll make the
Oh,
motion.
okay. Great conversation, great questions, and excellent explanation. And thanks to the previous board member speaker explaining in detail about the risks and the rewards. I appreciate actually the staff to taking all your time and energy and putting together these options so that we could, it's always, there is a risk when you have to take certain risks to get the reward, right? And this is not the first time we are doing, this is like third time. So that explains that we went through some of those initial pains, and now I'm sure we got better and how we do this one. Definitely saving any at this point is important for us, especially 8% to 10% is definitely significant. Appreciate for all board members your conversation, especially the questions that you asked. It just answered all my questions, and appreciate your conversation. At the same time, thanks to the team, MCE team, for putting together this plan. Appreciate it. I'm in support of this.
Well, thank
Okay,
you.
so I have a motion by, is there any other comment from Concord?
Vice Chair, so here's my comment and my motion is very along the lines of the former director who spoke. I want to thank everyone for the conversation we've had tonight, and to staff also for the work that's been done on this. I am prepared to go ahead and vote yes on this. And I would like to move that we authorize the execution and delivery of a clean energy purchase contract and certain other documents in connection with the issuance of the California Community Choice Financing Authority Clean Energy Project revenue bonds and certain other actions required to ensure the reduction in costs of revenue energy therewith. And the bottom line here for me is that we are saving our ratepayers money on this.
And this is Cindy Darling. I will second that. I made these guys draw a lot of pictures when Triple CFA got put together. And I think these are a great deal for our ratepayers at a time where they are all struggling with the cost of power.
So I have a motion by Concord and a second from Walnut Creek. Madam Clerk.
Sorry about that. Just having some technical difficulties here. Belvedere.
No.
Concord.
Yes.
Corte Madera.
Yes.
Danville.
Yes.
El Cerrito.
Yes.
Contra Costa County.
Yes. Getting still.
Thank you. Fairfax.
Yes.
Larkspur.
Yes.
Thank you. County of Marin.
Yes.
Martinez.
Yes.
Mill Valley.
Yes.
Moraga.
Yes.
The County of Napa and four Napa cities. Thank you. Novato.
Yes.
Oakley.
Yes.
Pinole.
Yes.
Pittsburgh.
Yes.
Pleasant Hill.
Yes.
Richmond.
Yes.
Ross.
Yes.
San Rafael.
Yes.
San Ramon.
Yes.
Solano.
Yes.
Tiburon. Oh, abstain. Yep. Vallejo.
Yes.
Walnut Creek.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you to Maria Strauss and also to Tyler Noble. Thank you. Next, I thought I saw our chair there, Chanel Scales Preston. Chanel, do you want to continue with the meeting?
Yes, I just wanted to just tell everyone good evening, and I just want to thank the vice chair for running the meeting. I really appreciate all your help. I got placed on ABAC committee, so I had to go to San Francisco to orientation and get sworn in. And the meeting was only an hour, but you know, traffic from San Francisco to get here. So moving forward, I will have ABAC, but I can do it here in Concord at MCE virtually. And then I can hop off the room and come right here. So we'll be okay for next month. Thank you all for all your work, and thank you, MC staff as well.
Okay, so next we have board and staff matters. Any discussion on that? Yes, Director Salter.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you to the board for such a good discussion on the bonds. That's all.
Here, here.
Any other comments in Concord or Solana?
I see no raised hands in Concord.
Okay, I will adjourn the meeting at 7:45.